Hello lovely people, how are you all doing? Can you tell from the glow, the wet hair? It's Scotcho in London again. I think it's something like over 30 degrees. We haven't had this kind of temperature since last year. It's come out of nowhere. Oh my goodness, it's kind of walloped me. I went to the garden first thing this morning to water because, well, I knew I needed to water today, but I looked at the forecast yesterday to look at temperatures because I'd rather have gone this evening because I've got things to do. But I thought I'll go about 6, and the forecast said it was going to be 32 degrees at 6 o'clock. Oh, as opposed to 24 degrees at 7 o'clock. So I thought, yeah, I'll go early. By 9 o'clock, it was unbearable. It was so funny because obviously it was Ladies' Day this morning, it seems. But yeah, loads of people down there watering, and everyone was in the same boat. Everyone was like just literally, I mean, dripping. You could see the sweat dripping from people's chins and noses as they were bent over watering. What an effort. But yeah, so came home and I've just wallowed in quite a cool bath. Not cold, because a cold bath would chill my skin, and then my hypothalamus would register that and think, oh, skin's gone really cold, better send some heat there. And yeah, so a cool bath. Actually, I think I'm going to put my hair up now because I feel like I want some air around the back of my neck. Yeah, it's no two ways about it. It's Scotcho again. Now, the thing with my flat up here, because this room faces south, obviously I'm in the roof, and the roof is black. It's black slate, and then there's black felt on the flat bit. It absorbs all that heat. So what I do normally in this room, the south-facing room, is I'll shade the windows, I just hang towels, whatever, in those windows to block the sunshine. And then on the back, in the bathroom and the kitchen, which face north, I have those windows wide open, so those little wafts of air come in and they're a bit cooler. They kind of feel cool and damp from the back of the building. The blinds, not the blinds, the coverings are off the windows for now, so I've got enough light to film by. But it don't half get hot up here. I know, every year, get a fan, Vivi. And then by the time I think about getting a fan, the heat wave is over. So, yeah, crazy. And it's that kind of weather where literally whatever you do feels exhausting. And I don't have time to feel exhausted at the moment. I was implying it in the last couple of videos. I've got a lot on my plate at the moment. I've got a lot coming up. I'm squishing this video in today because I've got some thank yous that I'd like to say, but also I just want to kind of, touch base and say hello. And in the space of my day today, I just wanted to take out, a little half hour, sit down, have some cold chamomile tea. More about tea in a second. And just a minute before I plough into the rest of the day. Last time we had a little sit down and a chat, it was around my birthday, and I shared the post bag, which wasn't all birthday post bag, because I hadn't had a little sit down post bag chat for ages and ages. What I didn't know at that point was, for instance, the next day, a box of 8 really lovely Scottish beers was delivered to the house. There was no gift note. I don't know who it came from. Whoever you are, thank you. They've gone. Really enjoyed them. Really nice. And what I liked was quite a few of them were around the 3% mark, because I love a beer. I really, really love a beer. Nice long cold drink, bit of fizz, yum. But I don't want to get hammered. And so many of the beers that I see in the shops now, they're like 5%, 6%, 7%. It's too strong. One bottle and you're gone. I would like to be able to have 3 or 4 bottles and still be sane-ish, as sane as I can ever be. Anyway, so that arrived, thank you. I also had a card from the post office to say, we called, you weren't in. No, I wasn't in, I was at the garden. So subsequently went to collect those parcels. So thank you to Fiona. I love this card. Isn't that cute? Old Singer sewing machine. Sweet as pie. That's going on the pinboard. And then the next thing, as soon as I opened the parcel, I smelt it. I'll come on to the smell in a second. So the next thing I opened was this. You see, it's 2 cards with yarn wound on. I was like, what on earth? And then I suddenly clicked, Fiona socks. Do you remember my strawberries and cream socks from back in, I think that was March? But I've got a new pair of socks from Fiona. Yay! I adore my hand knitted socks. So the pair that were made in this yarn, you can see why I called them strawberries and cream. I named my socks. Who doesn't name their socks? Of course we name our socks. But I don't know what to name these yet. So it's a very pale cream background colour, but then there's sort of specks of green and pinks and yellows. Okay, I'm gonna hand this over to you. What should I name this pair of socks? Oh, look at, I'm pumpkin headed again. Fiona, thank you so much. I already adore them. Thing is, goodness me, it's hot. There's no way I'm putting these on at the minute. I'm barefoot Bertha at the moment, definitely. So I'm looking forward to cooler days. Oh, and for something else in a second. I'm looking forward to cooler days where I can enjoy these. But in the meantime, I need a name for them. They sort of remind me of herb butter. Do you know what I mean? When you've got butter and it's got herbs and flower petals and things in. So maybe these are my herby butter socks. Love it. Thank you, Fiona. The reason I said I could, as soon as I opened the packet, I smelt it. She sent me another lovely little bar of the Mysore sandalwood soap. It's one of my favourite smells in the whole universe. Never mind the world, the whole universe. Mysore from Bangalore. Love it. It's gorgeous. I've still got my bar of soap on the go that Ricky sent me in the bathtub, and then oh no, he sent it to me from Australia, my unscented ones. I'm so sorry, I've momentarily forgotten your, was it Joanne from Australia? Oh, I'm so sorry, that's awful of me. Anyway, I've got my unscented one at the basin, the scented one from Ricky in the bath, but the scented one in the bath is Slither. So that's going to go to the bathtub soon. Thank you, Fiona. Fab. Now, mentioning not putting the socks on till winter, Andrea, loved the packaging. I don't think you can make this out. It's the, see what that is? That wrapping paper. It's the London Underground. And in here are, oh, wrong way round, a load of hot chocolates. Yay, sachets of hot chocolate. Thank you so much, Andrea. Fantastic. But there was also regular chocolate in there, and not just from Andrea, but also from SJ. Oh no, Andrea and SJ, thank you for the chocolate. SJ, I mullered your chocolate in the first sitting, you know that. Andrea, your chocolate is in the fridge. It's too hot to have it out at the moment. So yes, I shall enjoy, not that I'm wishing the summer away at all, but I'm going to make a little bundle of Fiona's socks, Andrea's hot chocolate, and Andrea and SJ's other chocolate. I'm going to have a little bundle to look forward to in the autumn. Thank you so much. Really, really appreciate it. Oh, and tea bags from Andrea, thank you. Honestly, I have all the tea bags I could possibly need now. I think I've got about 100 tea bags in the house. And I drink about 1 cup of tea a week. I'll do the maths for you. That's nearly 2 years worth of tea. brilliant. So thank you. It was lovely to, you know, sometimes having the post delayed a bit is nice, isn't it? Because it means your one's birthday goes on a bit longer. Oh God, I'm scorchio. Right, chop Vivi. Also, a lovely little note from Melody. Thank you for your note, Melody. All I'm going to say to you, gorgeous, is, you know what? Go for it. You know what I mean. Then, what was really, really fantastic for me last weekend, I was treated to lunch out. Actually, I can't remember the last time I ate out. I think it's probably about 3 years ago. I think it was about three and a half years ago nearly, when my friend Jackie was over from Canada and we went and had a meal out one evening. So it's been a long time. To me, it's a huge deal, a huge treat. 2 of my oldest girlfriends said, we're taking you out for a birthday lunch. 2 of the smartest women in the world. These 2 women, I have known them we were working it out. Next year will be our 30th anniversary from when we all moved in together to a shared house in London. We'd all just kind of come to London, finished university, that sort of thing. So we all ended up in this there were 6 of us in total. This all-girl house, Chelsea Fulham borders. It was a riot. It's fantastic. So the 2 of them, we've stayed in touch all these years later. Marriages, divorces, kids, marriages, whatever, work, life. The 3 of us have been through it all. But I haven't seen either of them for ages, because one of them is a globetrotter. She's lived in Paris and Bondi Beach, New York, all over. But she's back in the UK, yay! Settling down in the UK again. So I think the last time the 3 of us were together, I think it was about 3 or 4 years ago. I've seen one of them, the one who's UK based. I don't know whether I should use their names or not, because I haven't asked them if I can. Anyway, the UK based one I did see at the back end of 2019, but then of course lockdown did it. So it was brilliant. It was brilliant to have a treat of lunch out. But more than anything, it was just brilliant to see them. And like all really, really good friends, within 2 seconds we picked up where we left off. Work, kids, life in general, bitching about our menfolk, or praising them in some cases. Yeah, it's like no time has passed. And when I see them, the lovely thing is, I feel it for myself, but I see it with them too. When I see them, I still see the 22, 23-year-old in them. I still see that kind of how we all were back then, when we were all really mischievous and naughty. We've still got it, but we may not act on it quite so much these days. So, fantastic. What I love about them, they're both incredibly smart women. However, they're not so smart that they didn't muck up the date of my birthday, which is why it was delayed by a week. Yeah, erudite, comforting, challenging. They make me laugh, they make me cry. Exactly what you want from friends. And the first little gift bag came out, and as soon as I could see down into the top of the gift bag, I was like, oh, it's a book. And then the other girlfriend started laughing, and I was like, did you get me a book too? And they were like, it's all... You know what, I think I'm one of the easiest people to gift for. A book, a handmade bar of soap, or something for the garden. I'm a happy bunny. But they're both big readers too. So I'm going to share these 2 that I haven't read them yet. I just want to show you though, because they're both works of fiction. And I think I've mentioned this before. I'm not much of a fiction reader these days. I did most of my fiction reading by the age of 25. So through my teens and early 20s, I romped through the classics. both the English classics, the Russians, the French, a few American classics, not too many. I was quite sort of Eurocentric in my reading and a bit of a Russophile. But yeah, so I haven't really read much fiction at all in these last 20 odd years. So to get 2 books which are fiction, I thought, that's great. And this is what I mean about my friends challenging me. It's like, oh, okay, let's read some fiction again. Now, the one that, I nearly said her name, the one that N gave me is a classic. And it's an author I never did read. It's Victorian. So in terms of the Victorian authors, you know, I read all the Bronte sisters, a lot of Dickens, a bit of George Eliot. But this is an author who I didn't ever read. And I sort of always turned my nose up. But I had no grounds for doing that. I always thought a bit like, I'm not going to read him. And I don't know why. I'd got it set in my head that I wasn't ever going to read him. But now I am. I'm now going to read some, and you're going to be shocked now. And you're all going to say, give me a ton of recommendations. Please don't. Life's too short. I will not have time to read your recommendations of this author. But just to share, Anthony Trollope. I know. How am I into my 50th year or whatever it is and have not read Anthony Trollope? Absolute classic. But I never did. Never have, never did. This is the Eustace Diamonds. I think it was originally published in 3 volumes. This is all 3 volumes together, so it's a chunky monkey. It's getting on for 800 pages. That's the kind of book, I mean, look at that. That's the kind of book you take on holiday, isn't it? You spend 2 weeks on a beach in Greece reading the Eustace Diamonds and having swims and eating coriander for lunch and fasolada for your dinner. Oh, I want that now. Oh, I shouldn't have said all that. Oh, I want the sea. I really want the sea. Anyway, thank you, N. Brilliant. What I love about these 2 books is one's classic and one's brand new. They'll both be thought-provoking, I'm sure. So, Kay works. They're both kind of high-flying in a world that I don't understand. Like I said, they're really smart women. I don't know why they're friends with me. But anyway, yeah, I do, because we're friends. But Kay has for years, she's been really good at watercolour. She's taken it a step further. So she's still working, but sort of evening, she's doing a proper full-on botanical illustration course. I can't remember who's running it, but she had to kind of audition to get onto the course. She had to show her work in order for them to accept her onto the course. And she made this excuse me, beautiful card for my birthday. Now this is very much just a watercolour sketch. It's not her fine botanical illustration stuff that she does, but it's my birth flower. I didn't know I had such a thing. I'm delighted because it's a blue flower. It's larkspur. It's not just the prettiest thing. But like I say, this is a very quick dashed off sketch, watercolour. So pretty, I love it. But the stuff she's now developing is, it's so fine and intricate. I mean, she's ridiculously talented. You know, secretly I hate her. I hate her because she's just brilliant. Gorgeous and sexy and just amazing. I don't really hate you, darling, if you're watching. You know I don't, of course I don't. But yeah, so my birthday card made me go, ooh. And then the book, so it's an American author. I'd never heard of her before. I love this. I love finding new authors. Not that I found her. It was from K. K, the letter K, not K, the word K. Not K from the allotment, by the way. The author is called Glennon Doyle. The title of the book is Untamed. I'm sure some of you will know her. What I love about having books as gifts is, because I tend now to get my books secondhand, quite often it's a few years since they've been published. So I'm not au fait with current writers. So every now and again I get a gift and it's a writer, I think I've never heard of them. And they've only been around for say 2 or 3 years, or whatever it is. Yeah, so I'm chuffed. I was going to read a little bit from The Fly to you to give you an idea of what it is, but I've just clocked the clock and seen how time is cracking on, because I also want to briefly talk about these two that I've read. Well, this one I'm still in. This is a lovely little book. It's called A Gardener's Echo by Heather. Is it Heather? I can't remember if it's Heather. Heather Stewart. Oh, sorry, Helen Stewart. She's a Canadian artist. Each page, and the card, the birthday card, was also, it's going to be hard to see in the light, isn't it? One of her works. So each page is one of her illustrations with a little bit of the narrative running through. Oh gosh, how to describe it. So her paintings are a mixture, they're mixed media, they're sort of watercolour, sometimes with a bit of photo or collage in there, sometimes things are scratched through, scratched out, added onto, layers and layers and layers built up. So they're very intricate. I don't know what it'd be like to see the original works in real life compared to in the book, because in the book, let me just take the card out. In the book, it's a bit hard to. Oh, the light's not great, is it? I don't know what to say. The images, they all feel a little bit washed out. So I don't know if that's how they look in real life, how that's the intention. Is that the intention? Because this is all about nostalgia, garden nostalgia. So maybe that kind of washed out feeling in the illustrations is done on purpose, with the idea that maybe these are things which have been locked away in a cupboard or a trunk in an attic for years and years, and they have faded and lost some of that kind of brightness. Not sure. There's no sort of narrative particularly to it. It's just sort of her memories and thoughts on different gardens that have been in her family and her life that have kind of come together in a way. You see the end papers. It's almost like a sort of a family tree of the different gardens that all come together eventually for her garden. So I think she's more of an artist than a gardener. She's got a beautiful garden. I'll try and remember to link, there's a YouTube video about her garden. So it's a darling little book. It's very whimsical. It's whimsical. It's almost like wispy clouds on a summer's day. There's almost nothing tangible to get hold of, but somehow they're just lovely and you can sit with them. Helen Stewart. Brilliant. That was for Christmas. Only just round to it now, my goodness. Like the tea bags, I think I've got books to keep me going for 2 years too. And then just very quickly, I mentioned Elizabeth and her German garden in the last little sit down. So this is a book I have been very familiar with for years and years and years and years and years, all the way back to my book dealing days when I dealt in antiquarian books. So this book would come through my hands many, many times. Not necessarily the first edition, but within that first year. I think it was reprinted 11 times in its first year. Is it 1896 it was first published? I'm going to have to check. Sorry, 1898. I think it had 11 editions in that first year. It's hugely popular. So during my life as an antiquarian book dealer, I would see it often. Pretty little thing, green linen covered boards with some gilt stamping for the titles. Very simple, cute, uncut edges, brilliant. I used to sell it all the time. I would often pick it up and think, oh, I must have one of these for myself one of these days. Never did. And then I think it was about 6 months ago that I found one of those older copies for my shop. I can't remember if it was 6 months or not. Anyway, I showed it, I talked briefly about it in a video, and a lot of you commented, you love it. And then someone sent me a copy, and I was looking. So when someone sends me a book, I normally write in pencil, put a little note here to say who it's from. I must have had the gift note in there and it's fallen out. I was reading it on a train, or take my bookmark out. So I'm really sorry. I'm really remiss on this, aren't I? But I can't remember who it was from. It was from one of you. Anyway, so I finally got round to reading it. I have a very mixed response to it. I thought I was going to love it. I didn't love it. It was an okay read. There were parts I loved. Historically, putting it into its historical context of thinking this is a woman writing about this in 1898, this is a woman behaving like this in 1898, I think, yay, come on, go you, you know, actually picking up a spade, unheard of for a lady of her class. So in that historical context, I think, yeah, brilliant, good on you. But the garden aspect, I would say, after about the first third of the book, the whole garden part of it sort of disappears. Initially, she talks about, she just loves to be in the garden and she loves to read. So I was thinking, well, yeah, hello sister, me too. That's all I want to do in life. I just want to be in my garden reading and gardening. That's all I want to do in life. If I won the lottery tomorrow, yeah, forget YouTube. That's all I do is gardening and reading. And I would be happy ever after. Oh, and a bit of time with friends, of course. But yeah, so initially I was like, oh, I love it. Yes, I get it. But like I say, after about that first third of the book, the garden aspect of things disappears. And then it took a tone that I really didn't like. And again, we have to put it into its historical context of her class. You know, upper middle class, a lady, not a titled lady, but, you know, lady. And there's a visitor that comes. I won't say too much in case you want to read it, but she has a house guest. She has two house guests, one of whom is, like, you know, her friend, and one of whom is initially a stranger, but recommended by another friend. And it just takes this really bitchy tone, frankly, a class-laden bitchy tone. They disparage this other girl for her looks. They say her eyes are too far apart. They talk about her nose and that, you know, some noses you can get away with them if you know how to carry a nose on your face, and this poor lass doesn't know how to carry her own nose. And actually, yeah, it really turned me off. I don't like that kind of thing. Don't look down your nose at anyone, you know? And then towards the end it comes back a bit, excuse me, to the garden. So I would always say, you know, don't make your mind up from what I'm saying, read it yourself. If you are given a copy, read it. But it's not something, I'm never ever going to recommend it to people. I'm never going to say, oh, you must buy it, it's a fantastic book. Like I said, within the historical context, I think it's an interesting book. I think it's interesting and it deserves to be read and discussed from that point of view. But as for the tone the book takes later on with this whole bitchiness and class divide thing, nah, not for me. Don't want anything to do with that. So there we go. Like I said, I was quite surprised by my own reaction to it. I think no, that's wrong. I'm not surprised by my reaction to it. I was surprised by how the book turned out. I was not expecting that. I was expecting a really gentle, pleasant read. And in the end, it wasn't. But I'm glad I've read it. I'm really glad. So thank you. I'm really glad I've read it now because, yeah, I'm just glad to read books. Oh. So I think my next one after I'm just going to reread the last few pages of this because I was really tired reading the other day and I don't think it went in. It's very impressionistic. So there's not a really strong, you're not reading a story. It's just sort of thoughts and ideas, and it's floaty and wispy and whimsical. So I'm going to reread the end of this again. Then I've got over there on my nightstand, I've got my lovely copy, I think from Sarah, of Monty Don, The Jewel Garden. Sitting underneath that, I don't know whether I'm going to read it now. When I read this, I was on my way down to Auntie Teapot's and I changed trains on the way. I take 2 different trains, and between those 2 trains there's a half-hour wait. So I went up to the ticket bar and I said, I'm not leaving the station per se, but do you mind if I just pop out and come back because I've got half an hour wait? So I popped out because there's a really good second-hand bookshop right near the station. I'm an addict. My name's Vivi. I'm a book addict. And I'd only read the first few pages of this on the first train and I was loving it because it was all the garden stuff. So I went into this second-hand bookshop and I found another of her books, Enchanted April, which is fiction. And I thought, well, brilliant. And it was only, I think it was £2.50. And I had £2.50 in my purse. So I thought, oh, I'll have it. Brilliant. So I got that, got my train, carried on reading this, off down to Auntie Teapot's, did what I needed to do down there, had the return trip where I nearly finished this. And by the end of the return trip, I was thinking, I wish I hadn't bought that next book by Elizabeth von Arnim. It might, look, you know what, it's a work of fiction, it's not about her and her friends, so it may be okay. I will let you know when I've read both those. Really looking forward to the Monty Don Jewel Garden book because it's one that Paul read, I believe it was earlier this year, I think it was kind of in the winter, maybe early spring, and he really loved it and I think was quite moved by it. And from all the chats Paul and I have had and the things that we both talk about that affect us, I think if he's been affected emotionally by it in that kind of way, I think I will be too. So that'd be great. Look forward to it. I don't know when, seriously don't know when, not in the next couple of weeks. But when I do, I will let you know what I think. And probably after I've read it, I'll pop it in my shop so one of you can have it too. Like cheap. Right, I think, looking at the clock, I need to shut up now. There were other things I was going to talk about, as always. You know, it's kind of like when I sit here, when I sit here and chat with you all, it's exactly the same as when I went to lunch with Kay, letter K, not K from the allotment, and N, and we sit and chat, and 6 hours goes by, and it's like, hang on a minute, we've only just started, we need another 10 hours. It's exactly the same when I do these chatty videos. I just think, oh, there's this I want to talk about, there's that one, oh, I want to tell you about this and that, That's enough for one session. All right, lovelies, I'm going to leave it there because I need to get on with some other stuff. I need to go and put the shades back on the front window because it's getting, can you tell by my face? And my drippy, moisture-ridden middle face. Yeah, it's getting really hot again. So, not sure when I will see you. It might be... I'm just trying to think about how I can squeeze things in the next few weeks. the next time I see you, I might be under the kitchen sink. I know, it's 8 weeks overdue for me to get under that sink to fix things. Yeah, see you under the sink. See you soon. Cheerio for now, everyone. Take care.